does what he does, and he does it so perfectly and amazingly and beautifully, they can always recognize one of his pictures as being his, because there's no one else like him.
Super, super, super.
Peter Lindbergh photo.
You can always spot the Peter Lindbergh signature, even in color photos.
He's one of the most influential and in-demand photographers in the fashion world. He's been named Best Photographer in the industry several times. The makers of luxury goods use his pictures to sell glamour. Everyone wants Peter Lindbergh. He's become famous through his black and white portraits. Models still line up to work with him, even if he is the other side of 70.
I don't know his secret, but I would guess that it does have something to do with standing fiercely in authenticity.
His photos give you the feeling of having caught a certain brief moment, a moment in between film scenes perhaps. And they lend his stories a poetic quality. He can uncover that core where everybody feels an emotional connection. That's a unique talent. I don't know any other photographer who is capable of that.
Okay, do the hopeless look. Perfect.
Lindbergh is a storyteller. His method is more like a film director, except what he's after is that half a second containing all the emotion and mystery that you need for a movie. Whether models or high-profile actresses like Nicole Kidman, Lindbergh always incorporates his protagonists into the working process. A man who understands women and admires them.
Women are generally gutsier than men. Men tend to be show-offs and cowards. I shouldn't be so nasty about us, but women are observed more. And they have a lot of mettle. They're also more responsible and a lot more open and willing to take risks. Men just stand there with a cigar and their look. Taking a photo of Churchill must have been incredibly boring. Clutching that cigar, regardless of what you do. Whereas women take risks, and when they see they can trust you, they give you a lot in return.
And a fair number of models have benefited from Lindbergh's help over the years. Among the new generation is Freja Bea Eriksson from Denmark. Her name surfaced at major international fashion houses through Lindbergh's photos of her. She's become one of his favorite models to work with. A natural part of Lindbergh's work is creating a closeness to the women he photographs.
A lot of people say you have such a close relationship with the models. Do you fall in love with them? And I say, of course I do. But you have a family. Well, sure I do. I'm in love from 9 to 5. And then I go home and I'm glad to be there.
In industry circles, Peter Lindbergh is considered the inventor of the supermodels. He recalls the dawn of that era in his studio loft in Paris.
Anastasia, Anastasia Kinski, Karyotis, the cover of my first ever Pirelli calendar. There's Linda, Isabel Pasco, oh, Naomi. That was January '92 for British Vogue. And this is the birth certificate of the supermodels.
Birth certificate of the supermodels.
Es war also der Moment, wo sich
It was the moment when fashion photography became a kind of high society phenomenon.
Bewegung entwickelte. Also die Models wurden nach
They
der
would keep the models on after a fashion show,
andere Kleider gesteckt
put
und
them in
mussten
different clothes,
auftauchen.
and have them turn up at parties. They were like high society ladies.
Gesellschaftsdamen.
Lindbergh had turned human clothes horses into self-confident women with their own personalities, stars in their own right. The more conservative among the industry's editors found it hard to come to terms with this new angle on portraying women.
You can see here the shock over how these women could have become supermodels. There they were suddenly. This is the photo where they said, "We can't use this."
By the early 1990s, Lindbergh was already one of the leading lights in his trade, with the influence to go with it. Selling fashion meant selling faces. Conveniently for Lindbergh, that's what he was interested in, not the clothes. He went on to foster the development of various budding supermodels, most notably Linda Evangelista. Lindbergh was the first photographer in the fashion world to start blurring the boundaries between the genders, another revolutionary move. Evangelista's career skyrocketed after she followed Lindbergh's suggestion that she cut her hair short. Thanks to Lindbergh, she would become world famous.
These are the years, from left to right. You're now up here. Now you get your hair cut, and it goes like this. A year or two from now, you're up here.
Guaranteed me that I wouldn't fail with the short hair. And it worked. It brought me to a complete different level.
We accompany Lindbergh on a shoot in the Tuileries Garden in Paris. Lindbergh has thought up a story centering on a romantically involved female couple with their dogs. What he and the crew overlooked when preparing for the shoot is that dogs are in fact banned from the famous park. The pressure is on for the crew because the dogs are at least as important for Lindbergh's story as the models. The photographer takes matters into his own hands and uses his charm to win over the park guard.
Hey, we gotta be fast because we do something unlawful. Unlawful.
The job is back on, except just as the team are ready to start shooting, there's another hiccup.
Okay, hey, get in shape, get in shape. Oh, where are the shoes? Don't tell me the shoes are not there because I might get upset. No, she has no shoes. Imagine we come here to shoot the fashion picture.
The models are just wearing hotel slippers. The shoes are an integral part of the shoot.
I mean, you should have known. You know everything.
No, I'm taking care of the head, not of the feet. I'm not ridiculous yet. So, Peter?
No, tell me just one thing. Tell me if I'm dreaming or something. She comes here with the puffies from the hotel.
Finally, the shoes turn up, and they can begin. Frame by frame, the little love story takes shape, told by Lindbergh in the style of a photonovela.
It starts off with her waiting at the cafe for her girlfriend. Meanwhile, her girlfriend buys some flowers, which she then brings along to the date. We see her on her way. And then, this, for example, is nicer in color than in black and white, because the only red is the roses, with everything else black. And then they meet. I'm still not sure which shot, well, it's only been a day. They meet in this place, things take their course, and then you know what kind of a real relationship they have.
Lindbergh is very much a team player and is keen to integrate the models and the entire crew into his ideas.
Black and white gets under your skin. This is only my opinion, because there are so many great photographers who do fantastic portraits in color. But for me, it feels like black and white gets under the skin, while color just stays on the surface. That's my impression.
Yeah, no. The real, it's not beauty.
It's a cover.
No, it's a real beauty, because for real beauty, nobody really proved that for real beauty needs makeup or hair. True.
No comment.
Let's go to the coffee. Ist ja eigentlich ein Anti-Make-up.
He's actually an anti-makeup photographer. He does have them put on makeup in the morning, but then take it off again. I think women feel comfortable around him. Sometimes when I see him, he has this workman-like feel. There's this photo by August Sander of a blacksmith. And I thought what Lindbergh was doing in Paris was like a blacksmith shoeing the most elegant racehorses. He makes the horses faster, and they are aware of that. There's a big dance element in there, but in a subtle way. They all have a dancer's posture. It's something he extracts from the women. There's a bit of a circus family atmosphere at shoots. You can tell they always have a good time.
He managed to make so many decent models out of so many Hollywood A-listers. They're performing in the clothes. He invented that.
It's all a world away from the one Lindbergh hails from. He grew up in Germany's industrial heartland, the Ruhr Valley, between the chimney stacks of Duisburg.
I was an apprentice window dresser at a big department store. We had no books or art in our home. Just one little encyclopedia on the table. Not even on a table. It had these little photos of Africa. That was my cultural upbringing. In downtown Duisburg, we would see these window decoration sets that were setting the trend. The mannequins had skin-tight pants on and white smocks. Today, modeling agencies might give young people this dream of the big wide world, but this was the most exciting thing I'd ever seen. I left school really early, at the age of 14. My mother wanted me to get a solid job like a tile layer. And I wanted to be a window dresser because that was an artistic job. And my father said, the boy's going to do what he wants.
Stranger. At the age of 18, Lindbergh, then still known as Peter Brobeck, hitchhiked to the south of France to follow in the footsteps of his idol, painter Vincent van Gogh.
I had 80 Deutschmarks and had no plans to return to Germany. I got some work there, but after a week I had to leave where I was staying because I was low on money. I went around knocking on farmers' doors, asking if I could stay in the barn with my sleeping bag. And in return, I'd do a morning's or an afternoon's work.
It was a lifestyle he loved. The world was his oyster.
My friends began to get nervous. For them, I was always scurrying around from here to there doing different things. And they said, "Don't you want to start doing something?" One of them had a friend called Hans Lux who needed an assistant. He was a proper advertising photographer, a great man who let me do a lot, although I couldn't do anything. I soon realized that photography was a fantastic means of expressing yourself.
For the style he developed back then, movement was pivotal. From the outset, he took pictures spontaneously, according to his feelings. He didn't use a tripod, instead dancing with his subjects. It was also where he began looking for that one all-encompassing moment.
Stranger, will you remember? Stranger, me. Remember you.
He drew inspiration from the silent movies of the German expressionist era. For example, Fritz Lang's Metropolis, with its industrial theme and machines that reminded him of his childhood in Duisburg.
Peter hat durchaus dieses Gefühl,
Peter has a knack for capturing highlights in a movement. But that's mostly impossible in the fashion world, because it just keeps babbling on. It's like a stream of lava, heat and light, that just keeps going on. In fashion, there is no standing still. Photography suggests a kind of standstill, and all the magazines try to do that every 2 weeks or every month. Take a snapshot of a moment. But there's no taking a break in fashion.
And Peter Lindbergh is permanently on the road himself, a non-stop globetrotter. Today in the desert of Southern California or somewhere in the Pacific, tomorrow in Beijing. Although, as always, it's the people in those foreign lands that he's interested in. He became the first Western photographer to have a major exhibition in China. It's part of his long-term project, The Unknown. The photographer himself explores unknown territory.
I think that to be shocking, unexpected, still today, with the class and with quality, is the most difficult.
Franca Sosani is a curator and longtime collaborator of Lindbergh. They have a working relationship going back 20 years. And it's not just individuals Lindbergh remains loyal to. Paris is one of the locations that has lost none of its attraction for him. When did it all start?
When the fashion editor at Stern magazine saw the photos in a lifestyle magazine, she called me up and said, "Who are you? Come up to Hamburg and work for us. We'll give you 14 pages to do whatever you want." So I did, and it turned out very nicely, pretty spectacular. Then the art director at Marie Claire in France saw that series, and he called me up in Düsseldorf to say they'd like to work with me.
Irgendwann hatte ich mir gerade ein Haus
At some point, I was renting this lovely house, which had just been fitted with carpets and all this awful stuff.
Und dann habe ich meine Frau angeguckt.
And me and my wife at the time, Astrid, we had 3 children together in Paris. We looked at each other and I said, "Do you really want to stay in Düsseldorf?" She said no. So we packed up and left all our things there and moved to Paris with nothing.
That's how Peter Brobeck reinvented himself as Peter Lindbergh. The first thing he did was send photos around of a model sitting in front of a newspaper. He had the headline from Charles Lindbergh's Atlantic Crossing, especially reprinted in massive letters.
Lindbergh hits Paris.
Paris in an earlier, more innocent era. The Saint-Germain neighborhood became his front room and his photo studio. Watching and photographing people have become his favorite occupations. Some say Paris has had the soul photographed out of it, but not Lindbergh. He says the city has lost none of the poetic magnetism it had 40 years ago.
The glass, on the glass, turn the glass.
As fashions and models come and go, Saint-Germain-des-Prés refuses to age, and it seems neither does the photographer. He lives in Saint-Germain with his family. It's his haven when he takes a break from his globetrotting.
I sit here a lot because it's pretty close to my work.
Lindbergh's German has gotten a little rusty, so he's posted a reminder on the door to speak more in his mother tongue.
This leads out into another courtyard and then out to the front. So that's really the entrance. You can take photos out this window. That's where you get your views of Paris.
I
started spending more time in New York, so that became home. And then Los Angeles, of course. So it's a kind of triangle together with Paris. I alternate between them at least twice a month. It's like having a kind of extended city.
He finds terms like world citizen or cosmopolitan pretentious. Ultimately, he feels at home wherever he's taking pictures.
I don't feel like a New Yorker, and definitely not French. I didn't mean that in a disparaging way. But I don't feel French. Perhaps more American, if anything, but not really. I still feel like the kid from Duisburg, and I don't think that's ever going to change.
Lindbergh has his own library of art-related books, a dozen alone by art historian Werner Spies.
Picassos Skulpturen, Max Ernst vom Material zum Stil, Max Ernst Collagen, Collagen 2, Continent Picasso. How can one man write so much?
That vast archive serves as an inspiration for Lindbergh's work. Does he miss all of this when he's away?
No. It's always a nice sight to welcome me back. Those are two different things.
Another of his idols is Antonin Artaud. playwright, director, and king of the café scene in 1920s and 30s Saint-Germain. He once said, "To have a sense of the profound unity of things is to have a sense of anarchy and of the effort that needs to be made in order to reduce things by drawing them back toward unity." A credo that could also come from Peter Lindbergh. Unity and the big picture that he thrives on.
I'm going to close together because I had both of them. No, they're beautiful, beautiful.
Better than all.
And together, it's beautiful.
A working day for Lindbergh typically lasts 15 hours. His energy seems inexhaustible. He uses every last second of the day's sunlight, while encouraging his team to hold on with him. And when the day is finally over, if he's tired, he certainly doesn't show it.
I think I've seen him display symptoms of what you could call the Napoleonic sickness. It's a state of mind. He can take a 3-minute nap in a taxi, and then he's 100% refreshed again.
And after a day without a break, he sometimes then works through the night.
I work a lot at night. And when you're alone at night, you might have 6 or 7 hours to yourself. All these things start buzzing around in your mind, and I need that. During the week, I usually go to bed about 4. But when something urgent comes up, then I know I can't overdo it. For me, I need about 3 hours sleep at a minimum.
The nights in which he develops his visions and ideas are also closely linked to the mood that is repeatedly manifest in his pictures. On the darker side, more melancholic than happy, he finds laughter mundane.
Laughter has zero value for me in portraits or other photographs. There's so much to see in faces that are not laughing. When someone's laughing, that's all you see. And that ruins the rest. Photographing people laughing has no appeal for me. Fine if they laugh, but for a portrait, I need all those manifold, beautiful layers, which are all obscured by that thing that people call laughter.
Gray is good, the light is good. We went down to Hollywood. You only get one chance until so
I feel a strong attraction to melancholy. I also find it very attractive in people. The worst thing I can imagine would be being married to a woman who gets up half an hour before I do and says, "Hello, darling, would you like a cup of coffee or maybe something else?" I'd kill myself. It's a lot nicer to have someone who's grumpy and moaning about how dreadful the day is. I normally have the opposite of that, which is great. Being able to keep to yourself.
But Lindbergh is himself a star, and stars often find themselves in the spotlight. Here, he attends a panel event where he'll be sharing a stage with filmmaker Wim Wenders, hosted by fellow photographer Jim Rakete. Lindbergh might be reluctant to admit it, but he enjoys the attention and is very much aware of how his market value works. A large-scale Lindbergh photo costs around 75,000 euros. Lindbergh shares a long friendship with Wenders and with Jim Rakete a passion for perfection and portrait photography. It's a capacity crowd, much to the satisfaction of Lindbergh.
I've watched Peter at work a few times, and it's a massive operation with all the equipment and trucks and people. But Peter makes you forget all that. So you take your actors and models away from it all, and suddenly you're sitting in a different corner where there is no light, and you're taking pictures of what you really wanted to take.
People always say, "What a great photo, that's him," or "that's her." But that's nonsense. There is no one photo by somebody. There's a thing that I learned over the years that other people had written about. They already knew it, but not me. What you see on a negative, or a screen these days, is not the person you are taking a photo of, or the architecture of that person, or their physiognomy. In fact, it's the feelings of the two people who were present to create the photo.
And that's precisely what he's searching for, in the most disparate of atmospheres.
It's full of apartment blocks. The atmosphere is intense. And that's the backdrop for Casey, a woman who used to be on the Olympic team in France. I don't know if she is French. And today she works as a male model for Ford.
The Beaugrenelle district of Paris, half deserted, and with an eerie feel about it. For Peter Lindbergh, the concrete jungle provides an ideal motif for telling stories wrapped in mystery.
Super, 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 super. So, I think we've got it. If we take the radio in the other hand, and then push the thing a little over, then we don't see it, the other one. No?
Again with that blurring of gender boundaries that he finds so fascinating, and that made him famous 25 years ago.
No, start on the back and close the window is good. Yeah.
I grew up with Peter's photographs, and even though I didn't know that they were his and wasn't particularly focused on fashion, his photographs were so poetic that when I saw them, I remembered them. And what I remembered about them was that the women were looking directly into the camera, and they looked solid. And so when I was asked to do this project with Peter, I said, I thought to myself, if there's anyone who can know how to hold and celebrate the fact that femininity is not exclusive of strength, or femininity is not exclusive of masculinity even, I knew that Peter was going to be able to do that.
Lindbergh makes his selection while still on location, already knowing how he wants to tell the story. 14 hours later, the final photo for today.
Nice, beautiful. Wow, good. This way again. Beautiful. Now a last try of creativity before we flop and die. Nice, beautiful. Done. Thanks for the mileage.
You feel so small with an name.
Instead of hugging all the three, I hugged you 3 times.
His authenticity opens up a place within people they didn't even know they had.
So what's the secret to this wizard of photography? His sincerity and interest in individuals and their feelings? Does he love his subjects?
Yes. People criticize me for loving them all, as if that depreciates it. According to the conventional perspective, loving everybody means love is meaningless. Nonsense. That's where the Testament Project comes in, looking at the people involved. It's very intense and profound. And then you discover altogether different things.
Testament, possibly his most important project to date. It comprises portraits of people on death row in the U.S., each looking into a mirror for 40 minutes in front of a film camera that they cannot see. Murderers and child abusers all on their own.
Calling it Testament made sense. It's about people who are going to disappear. The idea is having an undoctored picture of somebody. The film does not tell you what they've done. You have to find that out for yourself. Plus, the man is looking at himself for 40 minutes. I came close to aborting the project because I noticed how hard it was for them. But once it was over, they were happy too. It's pretty moving to watch. You can try it yourself. Stand in front of a mirror and set your alarm clock for 20 minutes, and don't look anywhere else until it rings. Everything you've lost or won or imagined, it all passes through your mind. You see everything. It's crazy. It's in your face. That's the interesting part.
In Paris, he applies the same passion when photographing the pet dog of Louis Vuitton's menswear designer for a dog lovers magazine, a small favor for an important customer.
Otherwise, it's a rat race. There are only so many days in the year. And all that work for major clients eats up your free time. So our books tend to always get in the way.
This shoot is for a Japanese client. In Asia too, Peter Lindbergh is a superstar in the photography scene.
I think 12 people came from Tokyo for 2 photos of a girl. One cropped here, the other here. Every time they see a photo, they say, "Ah, wonderful." But that doesn't mean anything. You have to know yourself whether the picture is wonderful. You could show this and say, wonderful.
Okay, Thomas, beautiful. Wow, hey, look. Oh, God, what's this thing up there?
I fool myself to sleep and dream.
If you can trace every step and element back to yourself and then judge the result, you don't need to listen to anybody else, except when you want to listen to somebody. And then you know right where you are. Then everyone can say, wonderful, you're the best. But you know very definitely that it's not true. If you don't have any roots, you'll believe anything.
As long as there are people he can love and who love him, he'll keep on taking photos.
He's an absolutely exceptional photographer. Nobody else could amalgamate so many elements. On the one hand, he develops this amazing feeling with such a proximity to his subjects. And then there's the zeitgeist. It's remarkable how he surfs contemporary currents.
I try to explain to people, when they ask if I want to stop, well, that's the most beautiful moment where you can access everything and have the most complicated things spinning through the air on your little finger. It's then that you can finally use everything you've learned. And that's no reason to stop.